Home ownership can increase a family's stability and economic independence, and encourages reinvestment in neighborhoods. As with housing rehabilitation activities, there are several things to consider when designing a home ownership assistance program. How you design your programs will depend on the availability of other resources, ability to work with effective partners, and requirements to make the project feasible. There are three common approaches to home ownership programs funded with CDBG: home purchase assistance, support for new housing construction, and the acquisition, rehab, and resale of housing. First, in a home purchase assistance program, you can help people buy a new home or help them buy housing they already occupy. Depending on the particular needs in your community, the assistance can take different forms. Work with potential buyers, housing counseling agencies, lenders, and real estate agents to understand the barriers to home ownership in your community. Then, with their input, design financial mechanisms to address them. You can provide up to 50% of the required down payment, fund individual development accounts to build funds for down payment, pay reasonable closing costs, provide principal write-down assistance, subsidize interest rates, and assist home buyers with private mortgage insurance. Generally, all households receiving home purchase assistance must have low or moderate incomes. Exceptions are a HUD-approved NRSA for an entitlement community and a community revitalization strategy for the state program. In these areas, down payment assistance may assist households with incomes over 80% of the area median income as long as at least 51% of households assisted in the area qualify as low or moderate income. An example program by one grantee provides home purchase assistance up to $15,000 toward closing costs and half of the down payment. The program offers a 3% loan to low-income buyers. For very low-income buyers, they offer a deferred loan payable only at sale or refinancing. Effective home purchase programs balance the amount of assistance, the repayment terms, and the target population in order to assist the most households and still reach families who would not otherwise be able to afford a home. Good underwriting analysis will help purchasers to afford their homes in the long term. Second, home ownership assistance can also take the form of supporting construction of new housing. As a grantee, you generally cannot finance new housing construction. However, you can pay pre-development costs such as land acquisition or clearance, install roads, sidewalks, and water and sewer mains, fund a community-based development organization or a neighborhood development organization that is conducting neighborhood revitalization or a community economic development strategy to build new housing. Think about how you can use CDBG as a catalyst for investments as well as a gap financing resource to make a project feasible. For example, a new residential area may spur development of neighborhood business or additional privately built homes. You may want to combine your housing development investment with economic development incentives. When using CDBG to support new construction, be sure to be well informed on cross-cutting requirements, including the Uniform Administrative Requirements, Fair Housing, Environmental Review, Labor Standards, Section 3, and Uniform Relocation Act, Section 104D. Texas Target Area Program is an example of how a grant might support new construction. The city purchased vacant land, installed sidewalks and streetlights, and donated the land to two nonprofit organizations that built housing for sale to low-income purchasers. Some program characteristics that helped make their program successful included significant outreach with the existing neighborhood, high-quality design, and providing down payment assistance and housing counseling in addition to the capital investments. In the third approach, a public or private entity may purchase housing, rehabilitate it, and resell it to persons with low or moderate incomes. This is an approach you might use to develop affordable housing in high-opportunity neighborhoods. Look for properties that are undervalued, are in arrears, or require extensive rehabilitation. This approach has been used successfully by community land trusts that sell only the house, retaining ownership of the land. They frequently provide ongoing housing counseling services. This is a mechanism to provide ongoing support to the homeowner and to control resale so that the house continues to be occupied by low-income households. When provided in conjunction with resale of rehabilitated housing, Housing counseling is eligible as a housing activity or as a public service. Counselors typically provide guidance to first-time home buyers prior to them receiving home ownership assistance. Counseling can also be targeted to prevent foreclosure. It is a valuable tool to help make owning a home a successful experience. Regardless of the type of home ownership assistance you provide, you will need to decide who you want to serve by reviewing your local market needs and goals. Some examples of groups you may target are first-time homeowners. Most programs are targeted to low-income buyers. Very low and extremely low-income households may have difficulty sustaining home ownership. Former homeowners who lost homes due to foreclosure. Persons who buy in targeted neighborhoods. Special populations. For example, some grantees give preference to returning veterans or persons with disabilities. Some grantees target their assistance further by the type or location of property. For example, if you have a neighborhood with many vacant lots, you might target housing development and down payment assistance for infill housing in that area. If you have neighborhoods with a high percentage of rental properties, you might provide additional assistance to families buying homes in those neighborhoods. If you have a lot of older housing on the market, you might provide funding to families who will purchase a home and rehabilitate it. As an example, one grantee, which has a large number of vacant houses, purchases and renovates them. It also has a citywide CDBG down payment assistance program. If a buyer chooses one of these properties, he or she receives a bonus amount of down payment assistance. This approach encourages buyer choice while addressing a pressing community need. All targeting should take into account your responsibility to affirmatively further fair housing and to have programs that are accessible to diverse populations. And you will need to decide the type of financial assistance to provide. CDBG assistance might take the form of grants, loans, or other financing mechanisms. Home purchase assistance to the homebuyer is often provided in the form of a soft second loan. This is a mortgage loan that is secondary to the primary mortgage and doesn't require repayment except under certain conditions. It can also be a low-interest loan that requires repayment. Some grantees distinguish between the amount of assistance provided to low-income and very low-income buyers. Expenditures on acquisition, clearance, and site improvements in support of new housing development are often not recovered. However, it is possible to recover some of the costs from the developer. It's also possible to lend funds to a community-based development organization that is constructing housing and expect repayment at time of sale to the homeowner. In any case, CDBG assistance is intended to benefit the low or moderate income home buyer. While homeowners may sell their property for any number of reasons, it's important to protect against an immediate sale to an ineligible buyer to preserve the program's intent to assist low and moderate income households. Given this, many grantees choose to put a lien on the property, requiring a return of all or a portion of the assistance if the home is sold within a certain period of time that reflects the value of the CDBG investment. For example, 15 years. A shared equity model in which the CDBG program shares in a portion of the sales proceeds when the low-income homeowner sells is also possible. Thanks for watching Home Ownership Assistance Activities. You can end here or watch another video by clicking below.